So, auto rifles are really good right now. And when I say really good, I mean it is the only thing people are using in Crucible currently. Auto rifles by far are the most used primary weapon. In putting these numbers into context, the Summoner Adept, the Summoner Regular, and Prosecutor have been back in the game for less than 2 weeks. 3 of the top 10 weapons in Trials of Osiris right now, these 3 weapons are currently dominating in a way that we haven't seen before. And this isn't just new toy syndrome, this is a new meta syndrome, and everybody figured it out at the exact same time. As a true student of the game, naturally that begs the question, if auto rifles are the best type of gun right now, which of those auto rifles are the best? So, short answer, Prosecutor and Summoner. Longer answer, it's a little more complicated than you think it is. Naturally, people are going to gravitate to what is currently the most used weapon and what they're getting killed with the most. In this case, Prosecutor and Summoner, people are using it because they're new and they're good, so people are going to want to use them themselves. But there are options that people are not looking at currently that I'm going to try to shed some light on. There are currently 38 unique non-sunset auto rifles that are legendary. I'm not including sunset auto rifles, I'm not including the blues, the greens, and the whites. I'm sorry for you Kvostov enjoyers. Of the remaining non-sunset auto rifles, 3 of them I do not think you can get anymore. Shadow Price you can't focus anymore. The number you can't seem to earn through engrams. The Last Breath, it was just removed. 2 of them are from the Festival of the Lost event, the Braytech Werewolf and the Horror Story, and 6 of them are seasonal auto rifles with various levels of difficulty to acquire. That being the Chroma Rush, Perpetualis, 7th Seraph Carbine, Sweet Sorrow, Triuramello, and False Promises. All but 1 of these auto rifles you either have to wait for Zur to bring once every Friday, for Banshee to sell them, or you have to get lucky and hope that Dares of Eternity drops them. 4 more auto rifles come from common events, that being Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris, Dark Decider, Lethal Abundance, the Forward Path, and the Summoner. All of these are focusable at those respective vendors. And the final 25 auto rifles are ones that you can get at any time with varying degrees of difficulty, but you don't need to wait for somebody to show up or some event to happen. These are ones that you can just get at any time, but you might have to get a little bit lucky. That list is as follows: Breakneck, Arctic Haze, Arc Logic, Amit AR2, Come to Pass, Koronok 22, Duty Bound, Eidolon Ally, Rufus's Fury, Abyss Defiant, Age Old Bond, Reckless Oracle, Gnawing Hunger, Harad C, Prosecutor, Positive Outlook, Lodbrok C, Old Sterling, Crate, Ross Argo 4, Scathelog, Tiger Spite. For the past couple of weeks, I've taken a deep dive into each and every single auto rifle on this list that you can actually still get and farm rolls for, and determined which of them are actually able to compete with the Prosecutor and the Summoner. For 360 RPMs, we're looking at Lethal Abundance and Abyss Defiant. For 450 RPMs, we're looking at 7 Seraph Carbine, Positive Outlook, Breakneck, and Amit AR2. For 600 RPM auto rifles, we have Gnawing Hunger and Ros Argo 4. And finally, for the 720 RPMs, Chroma Rush and Rufus's Fury. These 10 auto rifles, I feel, actually have something going for them and have the perks and playability to compete with the best, that being the Summoner and the Prosecutor. Starting off with our 360 RPM archetype of auto rifles, the 2 that I mentioned, Lethal Abundance and Abyss Defiant, we're going to be looking at Lethal Abundance first. This one is obtainable exclusively through the Iron Banner and is new to this season, that being Season of the Wish. This one comes with a couple interesting perks. Obviously, perks 1 and 2 are always going to be the same, but perks 3 and 4, this is a 360 that can roll both Keep Away and Onslaught, or your choice of Target Lock. Target Lock is still incredibly good in Column 4. It wasn't nerfed on auto rifles, it's still great. Also, Onslaught, being able to get the decreased firing delay, basically giving you more fire rate without changing the actual damage of the gun. These 3 perks, Keep Away, Dynamic Sway Reduction, and Slice, I feel are the best perks in Column 3, and your choice between Onslaught and Target Lock. This thing isn't hard to get, it is just you have to wait for Iron Banner. When Iron Banner comes around, you have a week to focus these. This gun is incredibly good. Abyss Defiant is one of those guns that is just in the background always. Whenever you're playing games, it is an okay high impact frame. It's not as good as Lethal Abundance, but it is still a good option, mainly because of the damage perks you're getting in column 4, being able to roll both Kill Clip and Sword Logic as damage perks on this thing are very good. Oh yeah, and it also has Target Lock. Did I forget that? Target Lock is still good, and you have Kill Clip plus Sword Logic. Not only that, this thing is craftable if you manage to play the right enough per column 3. Outlaw Subsistence, Zen Moment, good combination of 3 perks. You can use Reconstruct if you want. Now, my preferred role for this thing is either Kill Clip Outlaw or Target Lock Outlaw role. It just feels really good to play with, and yeah, so those are the 2 best high-impact frame auto rifles. Do they compete with Summoner and Prosecutor? Yes. Are they as good as they are in a 1v1 gunfight? No, but high impacts do their own thing very well. Now, this isn't to say that all 360s are bad or that all high-impact auto rifles have no purposes, because I can see some arguments and some use case scenarios for things like Age-Old Bond, Lodbrok C, hell, even Come to Pass, even though Come to Pass doesn't have really any good perks, you know? You can get something like Harad C really easily. These archetypes of auto rifles work better in 6s than they do in 3s, and even at that, they have a really hard time fighting between the 450 and the 600 RPM archetype of auto rifle, specifically because they suffer from having a very, very tight window to be able to compete with other time to kills. That being, if you miss a shot, one shot missed from Abyss Defiant or Lethal Abundance means more than one shot missed by the Summoner or the Prosecutor, because it's harder to get that extra shot on target because, obviously, you have a slower rate of fire, almost 100 bullets per minute slower than. So if you're missing that shot, you're missing out on the tick of 45 damage or 42 or whatever range you're playing from. The odds that you're going to be able to compete with another auto rifle shooting at the same distance is 0. Normally, all headshots, 360s, would absolutely shred 450s and 600s, but that's usually not the case because you are missing those shots. Nobody's standing still just getting shot in the head by an auto rifle. But apart from that, use aggressive frame, high impact auto rifles if you like them. I'm not saying that any of them are particularly bad. I'm just saying that these 2, Lethal Abundance and Abyss Defiant, are the best of the best when it comes to this archetype. Moving on to 450 RPM auto rifles, these are the ones that are the direct competitor to the Prosecutor, and thus it is really, really stiff competition when you're trying to find a replacement for that, and really, I'm just going to say it, there isn't much. In my opinion, the best ones that you can still get currently are going to be 7 Seraph Carbine, Positive Outlook, Breakneck, and Amit AR2. Let me explain. The 7 Seraph Carbine, you can see right away, this pretty much comes down to a good 3rd column perk plus a solid damage column perk in the 4th column. That being Dynamic Sway Reduction and Target Lock. I like Frenzy, but Target Lock is just a tiny bit more consistent to activate now. Target Lock, Dynamic Sway Reduction, this is the role you're going for. The only problem is that this is a pain in the butt to farm. You can get it from Zur whenever he's selling it sometimes. Sometimes Banshee has one of these in his inventory. This is a pain to farm. It's not craftable. It's just one of those guns that you wish you would have gotten a good one back in the day. But man, I wish this one was easier to get. Apart from that, in theory, I'm saying in theory, this is able to compete with the best of them. With Positive Outlook, you can see the problem right away. It's one of those Vanguard weapons that have 11, 12, 13 perks in each column. This thing is nearly impossible to farm. The best part about it is that you can just focus these straight from Zavala. That's why I don't rate this one as highly, because it's a little bit harder to get a roll of, but it is incredibly smooth to use. Trust me, even if you're using suboptimal rolls, you'll notice very quickly that this thing feels so good to use. Being able to get Kill Clip, I don't like Eye of the Storm that much, but Eye of the Storm is an option. But seriously, Kill Clip, and then either a combination of Dynamic Sway, Tap the Trigger, Steady Hands even, Perpetual Motion, Zen Moment in column 3. This is what you're looking at. But getting it to roll with Kill Clip in column 4, and then dealing with the column 3 perks, not to mention, look at this, you got 8 different magazines. You really only want to be aiming for ricochet rounds. This thing is a pain to farm. If you get one, great. If not, there's something for you. That something for you is going to be Amit. Now, Amit is one of those that has an interesting problem in that its perk pool stinks. I just cannot even say this clearly enough. It's just a solid feeling gun. It still has that same precision frame, the 450 RPM. There's a reason why this thing is one of the most popular auto rifles in the entire game still, apart from the fact that they just give it to you for doing the crafting story. It's just that it is so smooth. It is good to use. Dynamic sway reduction is the only thing you're looking at in column 3, and really column 4, pick your play style, honestly. Tap the triggers, okay. Adrenaline junkie, I don't know. You see what I'm going for. The perk 4 columns suck, but apart from that, it is a fantastic feeling gun. It's the same kind of issue that Positive Outlook has, except whereas Positive Outlook has too many perks and it's hard to farm, Amit has a very small selection of bad perks. Breakneck. Breakneck is just like the old Breakneck in the sense that it is good. You can still get the subsistence onslaught if you really want to. However, look at this perk column. It's a gambit gun. You can get a whole heck of a lot of these. Because it's brand new, you only need one gambit engram to actually focus these. But seriously, look at this perk pool. The perk pool is just incredible. The fact that you're able to get Keep Away and Target Lock on this gun, not only that, but combo Keep Away with Onslaught. Keep Away is probably the best perk for me for any primary weapon in the game. Good players know how to play space enough to take full advantage of Keep Away. Also, Onslaught. We all know how good Onslaught is. We all know how good Onslaught was on the original Breakneck, but this thing, however, I can't really say that it's better than Prosecutor. It is just competition if you don't feel like using Prosecutor. In terms of 450s, Prosecutor is a really tough one to dethrone. There isn't a single 450 that I think is better than Prosecutor currently in terms of both gun feel, potential perk pools, and just actual in-game effectiveness. Prosecutor, unfortunately, takes the cake for all of them. You know, Amit, it feels good, but its perks are bad. Positive Outlook, in theory, could be putting up similar competition, but it's so impossible to farm that it's hard to even begin to recommend. 7 Seraph Carbine and Breakneck, they don't even share the same energy slot. Like, they're both kinetic weapons, whereas Prosecutor is an energy weapon. So, you know, if you look at it from that perspective, it obviously isn't going to be any competition. But even at then, if you're looking at it from the 450 auto rifle perspective, the 7 Seraph Carbine has good perks, yes, but it is like almost impossible to farm currently unless you have a good one sitting around from a couple seasons ago. And Breakneck, even though Breakneck is a really good weapon, are you really using Breakneck over Prosecutor? No. In terms of gun feel, Prosecutor just takes it over Breakneck. Now, I'd recommend Breakneck. Don't get me wrong. I'd recommend Positive Outlook. I'd recommend Alma AR2 if you're trying to just switch it up or do a different build that doesn't revolve around using the most popular gun in the game right now. But I said what I said. In terms of 450s, Prosecutor by and far is the best. Now for 600 RPM auto rifles. These are the ones that are going to be competing with the likes of the Summoner. It is a 600 RPM adaptive frame auto rifle, and I'm just going to tell you, here and out, just straight up, Gnawing Hunger feels much better than Summoner. It has better sights, it has better animations, it takes up less of your screen. I think that Gnawing Hunger overall is a better weapon than the Summoner. However, Breakneck can't get target lock, and that kills it, because simply just looking at the actual perk pool, in my opinion, this is a gun that's hard to beat. Gnawing Hunger, it's been in the game forever. You're able to farm it pretty much everywhere, through world drop pools, through Gambit, through focusing. This thing is very easy to get. It's good to get. It's easy to get good ones. If you're not playing Trials of Osiris and you want something to compete with the Summoner, get Gnawing Hunger. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot tell you how good Gnawing Hunger is, but actually using Gnawing Hunger, I'm convinced that it is better than the Summoner. People are just riding Summoner's meat so heavy right now because it is a brand new gun, just re-released with new perks, the best perks in the game, and it can out-duel Prosecutor. Yes, Gnawing Hunger out-duels Prosecutor the same way that the Summoner is out-dueling Prosecutor. That is just how good Gnawing Hunger feels, and in-game when using Gnawing Hunger, I was experiencing those same things. I'm glazing Gnawing Hunger as hard as I can right now. I will not focus on any other weapon in this video as much as I'm focusing on Gnawing Hunger. I cannot stress this enough. If you want something to battle the Prosecutor and you don't want to use the Summoner. Now, here is the other adaptive frame that makes me cry. Ross Argo, if it was easier to farm a good one, because this is just simply in the world drop pool, it is the same archetype, that being it has the wildcard origin trait, it has the same wildcard origin trait. It has great perks, dynamic sway reduction. It can get onslaught. If you want, you can use golden tricorn. Golden tricorn is good on void, especially if you're playing void titan. It has good perks all around. This thing is a solid gun overall. The only issue with it is that it's just a little bit hard to farm because it's in the world drop loot pool. But you know, even at that, maxing out range, this thing beats the best of them if you can get a good one. At this point, I'm just going to give you shotgun picks. In terms of adaptive frame auto rifles, there are more options than for 50 RPM auto rifles for competition. So if you need summoner competition or you need something that can outduel the summoner, like I already said, Gnawing Hunger, Rosagro 4, also things like Perpetualis, Duty Bound, Scathelock, Sorrow's Verse, Arc Logic, these are ones that aren't as good. The perk pools are a little less desirable, and these things are a little bit harder to control, but you do have options. That's pretty much all I'll say. 600 RPMs tend to outduel when you don't consider target lock. Considering target lock, you're going to want something with easy damage perks or just has the outgun ability. That's why I'm only recommending Gnawing Hunger and Rust Argo as opposed to all of those other guns. Moving on to the final archetype of auto rifles I feel are competitive in the current meta, that being the 720 RPM rapid fire frame, and there are two of them that I think are actually competitive. I'm just going to start with the one that is a pain in the butt to get. Chroma Rush, you can get this once every 3 or 4 weeks from Dares of Eternity whenever it's in the rotating loot pool. Xur sells these every once in a while. You can get it for Banshee every once in a while, but apart from that, it's one of the seasonal ones back from season of the Splicer, so you can't really get these through activities anymore. But if you can get this one with a perk, like Rampage or Kill Clip in perk 4, if you can get it with Dynamic Sway, Tunnel Vision, Moving Target, Heating Up even, these are all solid perks. Now, maximizing the range on this thing is very important. You know, you can't really cherry pick which perks you're getting in-game the same way as I'm cherry picking perks in the Foundry, but this is what we're looking at when you're dealing with this kind of gun. This really is the best case scenario. These things are incredible. The only problem is dealing with the range. That being said, it's a good gun. It's worth getting. It doesn't really outcompete. These ones don't really outcompete because they don't have target lock. Ideally, you want a target lock on a 720. But luckily for us, there is an easy-to-get target lock. That is a 720 RPM auto rifle. I just think Chroma Rush is something to consider. That auto rifle is Rufus's Fury, if you haven't guessed it. I mean, I said it early in the video, but Rufus's Fury, the final auto rifle I'm going to be talking about today, incredible perks. You get this thing with target lock, you get it with moving target or perpetual motion. These are great perks when trying to deal with the struggle that is Crucible. You can craft this if you get it from the raid enough times, so you can actually cherry pick which rolls you want on this one as opposed to the Chroma Rush. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, it's a great auto rifle. If you haven't used Rufus's Fury before, use it. This thing does, fortunately, outcompete Summoner. It doesn't really outcompete Prosecutor, and a pure 1v1 Prosecutor just does a little bit too much damage for it to handle. But if you are hitting each and every single one of your shots, there is a universe where Rufus's Fury can do better than Prosecutor because it is more a 720, obviously, is more forgiving than a 450 RPM auto rifle. You just shoot more bullets. So, that was a comprehensive look at all of the auto rifles. Normally, this video would have been up at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this beautiful day of March 21st. However, I'm going to have to delay that a little bit because when I was doing the finishing touches on this video, the TWID This Week in Destiny for 3/21/2024 came out, and it does something. PvP Strike Team's weapon update. The Summoner is not displaying nearly the same level of effectiveness as High Skill Lobby, despite the Flint Striker perk giving it a boost artifact PvP, just as I thought. The Summoner does have competition, and Bungie are saying it themselves. People are just using the Summoner because of the new toy syndrome. However, the Prosecutor, 450 precisions being the strongest. Auto rifles, the 450 RPM auto rifles in high skill lobbies are quite frankly the strongest weapon in the entire game. The Summoner is slightly less strong. That's why you felt that when using other 450 auto rifles, that I felt when using other 450 auto rifles for the purpose of making this video, that it just simply wasn't competing. Whereas the Gnawing Hunger felt much better and was more effective than the Summoner, even though I do have a Summoner with a target lock, do have good Summoner. They're getting nerfed. Auto rifles, the precision base damage is being decreased by 5%. This doesn't seem like a lot, but it's the difference of one bullet. And that one bullet, in terms of TTK, means that things like hand cannons and other pulse rifles, especially since Precisions are getting increased base damages for hand cannons, and adaptives are increasing body shot, hand damages, and adaptive hand cannons have a more forgiving range cushion and also fixes explosive rounds. Basically, what this is saying is that if you have a Rose with explosive payload, it's going to work now. Also, something interesting, Sunshot and the Last Word are going to be able to 3-tap to crits. So we're entering a Grenader Jake meta. For those of you who know how much that man likes Last Word, we're entering a Grenader Jake meta now that Last Word can kill in 3 crits again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is just getting tacked on to the end of the video before my outro. Apart from that, I'm going to kick it back to myself, and hopefully it still flows the same way, even though I doubt it. It didn't flow the same way, and now I have to re-record this also. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 98% of you that are male and watching this video, I just want to say thank you for watching. That was my take on every single auto rifle in the game. Now, I'm saying this in big asterisks, a big exclamation part. Use the auto rifle that you like. Use the weapon that you like. I am not saying that any auto rifle is bad, or just because I didn't cover your favorite auto rifle that it is not good, that it is bad, or something like that. I think that every weapon in the game has a niche as long as you can make it work. Me, coming from the person that mains Cerberus +1 in Trials of Osiris because I'm angry whenever I play the game that other guns aren't as good as the meta-defining weapons. Use whatever weapon you want. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, maybe keep on using it and it'll feel better in the future. Apart from that, thank you, each and every single one of you, for watching my video. I appreciate each and every single one of you. If I don't post a video tomorrow, have a great weekend, and keep on trying new things, Guardians. Thank you for watching.